Welcome to the Beast Game Podcast. Today we are looking at Moana. The directors are Ron Clements, Don Hall, John Musker, and Chris Williams. Clements and Musker have done The Little Mermaid, Aladdin, and The Princess and the Frog. Hall and Williams have done Big Hero 6. It's written by Jared Bush, Clements, Hall, Musker, and Williams. Bush has done Zootopia. It stars Auli'i Cravalho as Moana. This is her first credited role. Co-starring is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. The Rock is best known for his time in professional wrestling. He has been in the Fast and the Furious series, Pain and Gain, and stars in the TV show Ballers. The summary: a young woman uses her navigational talents to set sail for a fabled island. Joining her on her adventure is her hero, the legendary demigod Maui. The movie starts off with a fable about the sea mother Te Fiti. It explains the demigod Maui and his magical hook that gives him power. Te Fiti's heart was stolen by Maui, and the seas are cursed until her heart is returned. The grandmother tells Moana the story as a young girl, and it inspires her. Next, there's a song that explains their society. It's a Pacific Islander Polynesian setting.
It's called Hawaii.
Yeah, it is called Hawaii, and everyone is afraid to leave the island and can't go beyond the reef because of the Te Fiti legend. Moana is very close to her grandmother. There are a lot of scenes setting up that relationship. Moana wants to go beyond the reef and explore. Moana's father is the chief, and Moana will be the next chief. Her father discourages her from ever leaving the island. He wants her priority to be as chief of their society. The island begins to have problems with fish and harvesting. Moana believes the best solution is to leave the island and go beyond the reef to find Te Fiti's heart. So Matt, do you want to go ahead and give your feelings about Moana?
I like the movie. I didn't come in with a lot of expectations, but I was pleasantly surprised. I think part of it also is that the visuals was very nice. Storyline started very slow, in my opinion, at first, but ended up being picked up, I think, probably the last 2/3 of the movie. I liked it overall.
All right, so my feelings about this are that the movie does an excellent job setting up the lore and the atmosphere. The animation is very emotive and lively. There's some pretty good songs in the movie. And unlike other animated movies this year, the songs complement the structure of the movie and it doesn't pad the running time. So do you want to go ahead and give a comment about Auli'i Cravalho's acting?
A very believable character, and you felt the emotions that she did because she went from childhood to teenager. I think she's a teenager towards the end of it.
Yeah, I think she
But
might be 16, 17 by the end of the story.
but you could tell the growth of the character as the movie went along. There was an emotional connection, in my opinion, to the character, and it seemed more than two-dimensional. She did a good job.
So I felt that her acting was probably the best out of any of the characters. There's not a lot of characters in the movie. So you have her mother and father, the grandmother, the Rock's character, and then maybe one or two other people that have lines, and that's it. But I think that if this is her first credited role, she seemed to be a natural at it. But do you want to go ahead and talk about The Rock? Or Dwayne Johnson, aka The Rock?
I think he did a good job. The thing about him is that we're so used to him being this clever, charismatic individual, whereas in this one, he really wasn't as much initially
Yeah, it
as
was
he
pretty
was the
kind of
most arrogant
subdued.
character.
Yeah, and a lot of times it doesn't really show in some of his roles, but I mean, The Rock did a lot of comedic stuff while wrestling, so he has that comedic timing down. And for his character to kind of be mischievous in a certain way, that I think he did a very excellent job. But there were a couple of times where he was plainly delivering lines. Other than that, his performance is really elevated.
He did a good job of being a jerk.
Well, it's not hard for The Rock. Was there anything that you didn't like about the movie?
I just didn't like the fact that it was slow. I mean, when you see the previews, you're expecting it for it to kick off, but it just took a while. And I understand it for plot development, but a little bit slow for me in the beginning, but overall did pretty well. I didn't really have a lot of complaints about the movie, other than it being a slow initially.
Well, for me, I did have two minor complaints. The first complaint, or first negative, it's not really a complaint, but I felt that Moana's theme song came up one too many times in the movie. I started to notice how many times it occurred. And then the second thing was that I felt that what you're talking about, it starting off slow, revolves around the grandmother. I felt that there was some underdeveloped issues with the grandmother. Don't want to ruin the story, but there's a relationship between her and the grandmother, and then it just happens, and then the movie just goes ahead full tilt in the other direction. And my comment is that I think Disney Animation Studios puts out better movies than the sister brand Pixar.
I would definitely agree.
I find that Pixar movies, just to be okay, other people might disagree. The Incredibles, Finding Nemo, Ratatouille are some of Pixar's top movies, but Disney Animation, they had Tangled, Frozen was a super big movie for them, and also Meet the Robinsons, which, I want to say it came out 2007, 2008. It was a smaller movie. I would put Meet the Robinsons as my favorite Disney CG movie, and that's over top of any Pixar movie, any other movie that they had. So, getting back to Moana, do you have any wrap up thoughts?
I think it did a good job of having a little bit of adult humor
Yeah, I agree.
rather than, okay, everything was kitty, kitty, kitty type humor. There was some adult humor, and you're like, okay, I can appreciate it a little bit.
Well, for me, I wouldn't mind seeing another film in this universe. Another good movie to watch alongside of this is Kubo and the Two Strings. I felt that Kubo was a stronger movie, but Moana's setting is a good change of pace. Having previously reviewed Kubo and the Two Strings, I'm going to alter that score because Kubo and the Two Strings is a stronger movie. So I think I gave Kubo an 8. I'm going to give that an 8.5. And for a score, I'm going to give this movie an 8. It's a movie that has very strong animation, acting, and music. What about you, Matt?
I would agree as well. 8 is a very, very solid and a good score.
So we're just going to end it on that. That's the Beast Game Podcast. You can find more of our podcasts at beastgame.com, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Twitter, and YouTube.